Yo, what's going on, guys? And today it's being reported by Jake Fisher that the New York Knicks may be interested in Malik Beasley. Malik Beasley, according to ESPN's Shams Charania, had been cleared as a target by a federal investigation by the Eastern District of New York for allegedly gambling on NBA games. Now that he's been cleared, we do know a few things about his current situation. So before we start, the report reads like this. I want to give Mr. Jake Fisher the credit where it's due. So let me read you the exact report that he put out there, as this was the report. Yet New York, am I reading this correctly? Because now I feel like I put it off wrong. But yes, the report goes exactly like this. The New York Knicks. Yet New York has been cited as a team that could pursue Malik Beasley after ESPN reported Friday that Beasley is no longer the target of a federal gambling investigation. Jake Fisher is told that the Knicks have maintained a level of interest in Beasley since the team met in the first round of the playoffs in May, and now the sharpshooter appears poised to become an unexpected late summer free agent of note after the launch of the investigation just as free agency was about to commence led to Detroit scrapping its plan to sign him to a 3-year, $42 million deal. Now, I think the biggest thing is that he's in a position that it could work out. So what do we know right here? So Malik Beasley, as we know, this was a sharpshooter who was ranked second in total three-pointers made last season. He is one of the top perimeter threats in the NBA. He was going to sign a contract that was going to net him a $14 million average annually. Now that his case with the federal investigation is closed, it seems, his market could now have some interest. However, the money has dried up, but the shooting value that he brings is elite. And the late timing does mean there's fewer suitors with cap flexibility. Detroit, real quickly, does retain his non-bird rights and can offer up to $7.2 million. However, they went out and signed Karis LeVert, Duncan Robinson, and brought in Javonte Green to fill out that wing depth. They're also expecting the return of Jaden Ivey, which they were assuming that him coming back in the way that he was playing last year is going to be replacing his minutes and able to just not need him to come back, regardless that this investigation has closed. So it seems like they've gone in a different direction, even though they could technically keep him. So the New York Knicks are allegedly, per Jake Fisher, interested in signing him. Why is that? Look, they value shooting, and we've heard Landry Shamet and Matt Ryan were probably going to be two guys that they were going to bring in, and he would more than likely give them a spark off the bench. So let's put it all together. So the removal of his legal concerns obviously restores his value as one of the best shooters in the NBA that people could potentially get, but because it's the summer, it's August, there isn't much money around. Now, the rationale: the Knicks need floor spacing to complement Jalen, Brunson, and Karl-Anthony Towns. Beasley offers elite perimeter shooting at a high clip. If they are truly interested, New York is the best contender to bring him in if he wants to actually be a part of the rotation, legit 8-man, 9-man rotation, whatever Mike Brown is going to use him. And they probably have been tracking this closely, as he is seen as a low-risk, high-upside addition for a team. Now, the free agent pool, we've mentioned multiple times in this video, has dried up since June. Detroit retains that $7.2 million bird right, and they've already added his replacements. Now that the likelihood of him going to Detroit seems reduced, New York could offer a 1-year prove-it deal, either being at the minimum, which currently, if we go and look at what the Knicks can offer, they are a little bit handicapped. The New York Knicks can only offer a minimum. They can't make salary. They can't do anything. That's all they can offer. So what they could do is sign him to a minimum contract, tell him, hey, you'll go into free agency next year in 2026 where there's going to be a lot more teams with cap space, and you go from being on a team like Detroit that was a playoff team, which already helped improve your value, which next year you're going to at least be asking for $14 million a year. But now that if you recreate 75% of that or even do the same stuff for us, you could probably ask for more, because now you went to a winning situation that we are hoping that we're going to be contending for a title, and you did that for us. And if we win a title or go on a deep playoff run and you just did the same thing that you did with the Pistons for us, even though you're at a minimum contract, you're going to be able to boost your stock that might have taken a little bit of a hit because of this investigation, but because you were able to perform in a higher stake situation on a bigger stage with more eyes on you, especially that you're playing in a big market like New York, it all is going to pay well in dividend for him. Now, it could also tank the whole thing. And I also think that if he wants to play in New York, the Brooklyn Nets could float a 1 year to $10 to $14 million deal as a way to use that with leverage against Cam Thomas, to force Cam Thomas to sign his deal, either being the qualifying offer, the 2 year, $28 million deal, and then they have the Brooklyn Nets trade Beasley halfway through the season as a rental, because he's still going to go out and be able to go test free agency next year and then go to a contender that's willing to pay, has the salary to match, and it also is get up compensation to the Brooklyn Nets for Malik Beasley. That's one dark horse, I think, but the contenders are really going to only offer him minimum deals, forcing Beasley to bet on himself. So I think the Knicks present the best balance of competitive roster, give him an actual rotation spot that's in the 8-man rotation alongside Gershon Yabusele and Jordan Clarkson, and a stronger financial flexibility than the other teams, in my opinion, because the Knicks need a bench scorer, especially a shooter, and some shooting depth. His presence is going to be able to ease off OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, Bridges, and everybody else that may have to be, giving themselves a rest. And I think that's the biggest thing right there, is knowing that they can go ahead and have some leeway if they bring in a player like Malik Beasley, because they'll have this potential short-term signing that most teams would be looking mid-season trade to add as a rental shooter. They'll be able to bring in now, and the Knicks can maximize Beasley's value, strengthening themselves for a title contention push, as well as him boosting his stock by being able to do it at a higher level. So that's just my personal thoughts on there. I think it's really interesting how that's going to all play out, because I do think putting him on a team like this could be great for him situationally, and depending if the Knicks really want to go out and get themselves a guy like this and telling him, look, the minimum contract, I think he's already played in LA. I think this is the best situation for him in terms of going to a good team in a big market and being able to be a guy in the 8-man rotation regardless of compensation. So let me hear your thoughts on that one.